The night was calm, and the forest was shining softly under the silver light of the moon. King Vikramaditya walked steadily through the woods, carrying the ghost Betal on his shoulder. Betal's strange laughter echoed in the silence of the forest. O brave King Vikram, your courage never fades. But can you keep silent until we reach the cremation ground? Let me tell you another story, the story of the three most delicate queens in the world. Vikram said nothing. He tightened his grip on his sword. The ghost Betal began its tale. Long time ago, there lived a mighty king named Roop Sen. He ruled the golden city of Sundarnagar. The city was filled with gardens, shining palaces, and people who loved their wise king. King Roop Sen was brave, just, and kind to all. His smile gives courage to soldiers and comfort to the poor. King Roop Sen had three queens, Chandravati, Padmavati, and Kamalavati. All three were known for their beauty and tenderness. Chandravati was gentle and fair, and her skin glows like moonlight. Padmavati was graceful and soft spoken, with her eyes like lotus petals. Kamalavati, the youngest, had a calm and pure heart, her face shone with kindness. The king often wondered which of his queens was the most delicate of all. One morning, he asked his ministers who among them is the most sensitive. Ministers looked at one another but had no answer. Then the king said, I will find it out myself. That night, the palace was glowing under golden lamps. Queen Chandravati lay down on her bed of silk sheets. Unknowingly, a single lotus petal slipped beneath her soft mattress. As she tried to sleep, she turned and twisted restlessly throughout the night. By the morning, her eyes were red and her face turned pale. The king saw her in the court and asked gently, My queen, what troubles you? Chandravati said, O my lord, I could not sleep. Something hard pressed against my back all night. The maids searched and found that it was a single lotus petal. Everyone was astonished. Such tenderness, whispered the courtiers. The king smiled, thinking that surely she must be the most sensitive woman alive. Days passed, and the king decided to test Padmavati next. One evening, she sat near her window, combing her hair. The air was still, and the sunset painted the sky in red and gold colors. Suddenly, a gentle breeze carried a faint sound of temple bells. The next moment, Padmavati fell unconscious. The maids rushed there to help Padmavati and fanned her face. Slowly, she opened her eyes and said, The sound was too loud. It pierced my heart like a thunder. The king was amazed. Such a great sensitivity of hearing. Even a soft bell's sound could make her faint. A few days later, the king was walking with Kamalavati in the royal garden. The evening air was smelling of jasmine and roses. Kamalavati, with barefoot, was enjoying the cool touch of grass under her feet. She then suddenly stopped. The king asked, What is it, my dear? She softly replied, A flower fell somewhere nearby, my king. The king looked around and said, But it did not touch you at all. Kamalavati said, Yes, it is true, my lord, but I felt its fall through the earth. The king was stunned. You are truly the most delicate of all. Many days passed in happiness. The king and his queens were living joyfully in the golden palace of Sundarnagar. Then, one dark day, a war came. A neighboring ruler attacked their kingdom. King Roop Sen gathered his army and prepared for battle. The three queens stood at the palace gates and their eyes were filled with worry. Return soon, my lord, Chandravati said with tears in her eyes. Padmavati softly whispered, May the gods protect you. Kamalavati only placed a flower in his hand and bowed silently. The king smiled and rode away on his horse. Days turned into weeks. The palace felt empty without the king. Chandravati was weeping every night and was unable to sleep. Padmavati was spending her days praying at the temple and lighting lamps for his safety. Kamalavati sat quietly near the palace gates and her eyes were fixed on the road. Then, one afternoon, a dusty messenger rode in. He bowed and cried, "The king has been slain in battle." Chandravati screamed and fell to the floor. Padmavati tore her ornaments and fainted. Kamalavati just closed her eyes and her soul left her body. Within no time, another messenger arrived and said, "Wait, the king was alive." The first news was false. He ran to the palace in joy, but there he saw only grief. Soon after, King Roopsen returned to the palace with great victory, but his heart was broken. He saw Kamalavati lifeless and his two queens weeping beside her. He fell to his knees and wept bitterly and said, "You loved me so purely that even a false sorrow ended your life. You were too delicate for this world, my dearest Kamalavati," the king said. The court mourned for many days. The golden palace seemed dull without her gentle laughter. Chandravati and Padmavati lived on, but their hearts filled with love and regret. The king built a marble shrine in memory of Kamalavati. Every evening, he placed fresh flowers there and prayed silently. After finishing this tale, Betal looked at King Vikram and asked, "O King Vikram, tell me who among the three queens was the most sensitive?" The forest wind sighed softly as King Vikram walked on. Then he replied calmly, "Chandravati and Padmavati were delicate in body and mind, but Kamalavati was delicate in soul. Sensitivity of heart is greater than that of the body. Therefore, Kamalavati was the most sensitive of all." Betal laughed aloud. "O king, that's a great answer. But you have spoken again. Now I must fly back to my tree." Before King Vikram could grab him, Betal slipped off from his grip. The ghost flew into the dark forest and laughing as he vanished among the trees. The king turned back silently and ready to begin again. The moon watched the brave king walking once more under its light, and the journey of courage and wisdom continued. Betal's voice echoed, "Remember, O King Vikram, wisdom and heart are the true strengths." Vikram kept walking, and his sword was gleaming, and his mind was calm. He knew that truth always lay beyond fear and silence. The story of the three sensitive queens became a legend in Sundarnagar, and it was told for generations to remind people of gentle hearts. Children learned that real strength is not in power but in purity. The king grew old but never forgot Kamalavati. Every full moon, he visited her shrine and prayed. People believed that her spirit blessed the kingdom with peace. Flowers always bloomed near her marble statue. Thus, the tale of King Roopsen and his three queens lives forever. Betal's voice still whispers in the night breeze. True sensitivity is not in the body, but it is in the soul. And the real strength lies in the purity of heart, not in fragility. Thank you so much for watching. Jai Hind.